Hello and welcome to another Let's Play. Me, GamerWolfSix of Shelter. Before we start, if you're interested in playing this game, then you can go there itch.io, where you can get it for free. Or if you want to support them and or get the most up-to-date version earlier, then you can go to Patreon and do that. $5. Anyways, unless Let's Play. Woof. So much stuff happened. Not good. Basically, we almost drowned, but then we didn't drown, but then there were a whole bunch of monsters that came to attack us, and everyone's dead. Or practically everyone. Reliving memories. But we'll see how things turn out. We'll see how things turn out. Come on, bob my head a little bit, man. I kind of feel like I should move the camera up there. Who knows? Anyways, I almost forgot about the turret and the cables. It feels like I'm living through those events again. I relive one of the lowest points in our respective lives. This time, this time from his perspective. No matter how much we strove to better ourselves, or how hard we clung to the brief moments of happiness, despair was ever present. It's patiently waited for those moments of weakness to let itself be known again. That must be true for every dog in Shelter. I can feel it in all of those shards of experience flowing through me. None of them is completely free of grief. Knowing that, why should they keep trying? Why should I not give up right now? Why? Why? And there's that horrible looking bird monster again. Why is he still resisting? Rune. He's crying out for help. Calm down, silly pup. It's going to be over very soon. We're finally going to be saved. So that's the monster? So much blood. Dripping down the scarlet plume's maw, between the sharp teeth. Thick black blood. From a sword's wound. A blade piercing right through the side of the monster's long, gruesome muzzle. A blade held by Luke the human. With his whole body steams with the heat of ungulate's mana. It moves through his uncanny weightlessness of the avians. The scratches on his body closed with the speed of Silurian regenerative ability, vitality. He pushes the blade as far as he can with his weak arms as he then pulls it out, splashing the plume's dark ichor into his coat. What are you doing? Run! Run? What does he mean? I watch him dumbfounded as he struggles to keep the scarlet plume away with his clumsy, weak, amateur slashes of his blade. Even with the uses of many mana types at once, he must know he's no match for the creature. I'm much stronger than him, and he saw me, the hero, submitting to it. What's he trying to do? He should be the one running away. After all, the hero has given up. But he hasn't. He's in obvious pain, but he's forcing himself to distract the crimson plume with all the efforts he can muster. Stumbling on his feet, he waves his weapon with little skill or thought. He still doesn't give up on buying me another second to escape. Finally, he finds a clear opening, hurls under the monster's snapping jaws, and jumps toward the back of his head, swinging the blade in a wide arc. I shout now to warn him. Before the edge can find the mark, the long, hard, whip-like tail of the scarlet plume's swings and tosses him away like a rag doll. The creature slowly turns its head back towards me. I can feel the fresh charge of human mana flowing around it, released from that impact. to my surprise, the monster towards the human instead. He's on all fours, coughing and struggling to get back up. I'm not even sure what I'm looking at here. The scarlet plume growls and runs at him. It's going to kill him. Without thinking, I absorb his mana. I rush at them. And right before the munchkin bite into the human, I drive my knee into its ribs. The creature wheezes and glares at me with snarling fury. As the influence of the human's mana amplifies my senses, the eyes of the scarlet plume appear to be brighter than me. Step away, now! Pain explodes in my right shoulder. I wasn't fast enough to dodge the creature's teeth. I jerk myself out free, without any care of the integrity of my body. I know what this mana can do. I need to burn it further. If I do, I know I'll be able to. If you don't let go of me now, I swear. Wait, me or? Sorry. Him. That's where I can read. I send another kick at the creature, and, in turn, it gets my inner thigh slashed by its claws. Fuck, my leg feels warm. Did it get an artery? Doesn't matter. I only need enough time to burn the mana deep enough to force Moon to true awakening. The Moon that can save the human. Even if it's a hopeless cycle, will revolve once again for another life. It has to be done. It won't ever stop. I'll forever be... Yet another flash of the scarlet plume's eyes sends me into the forest depths of a long-lost memory. And here's the Muppets again. Hand painfully claws into my shoulder. I can feel the blade of a dagger being pressed against my throat. I can feel someone's hot breath over my cheek. And when I look up, I see the head of a Rhodestian Ridgeback staring in the distance with his eyes of pure light. Step away, now. His mouth moves, but his voice comes not from him, but from the space right in front of us. From the drooling mouth of the scarlet plume. If you won't let him go free now, I swear, I'll send him off to have another chance in his next life. I see. Let me just roll back a bit, just in case. Yeah. Sometimes they just... I don't know, it seems to be a glitch. Seems like... But hey, game progress. So that was the thought that kept bringing you back to me all this time. A twisted corruption of a strong will. Or maybe it's doubled. Maybe that's just how they're doing it with two musics. Even when I forgot all about you, you always kept me in your heart. Thank you. I missed you, Dad. Rune. That's right. He's still in danger. I can't fall just yet. I break from the internal embrace. Or ethereal? I think it's ethereal. Feeling the claws slashing through my limbs, I gather all the force inside my spirit and concentrate it into my left hand. With a sudden flow of inspiration and understanding, I push an unstoppable torrent into my soul, into the scarlet plume's chest. In my first ever Tengu Claw to Fang style Kana Mana strike. Huge name. The monster slams against the cliffs for a couple 100 meters ahead, while the shockwave of magic discharge crackles across the whole battlefield. The rest of the monsters are bound to have felt it. They'll come soon, too. I need to fully awaken the moon before they do. I need to... Rune. I fall to my knees, into a puddle of my own blood, and the human is already in front of me. I smile to put him at ease, but surprisingly, he still looks worried. We have to run. You're badly hurt. I found a safe spot. If you manage to wake Burry up, he can... It's okay, human. You go ahead. As long as you're safe. What the heck are you talking about? Your leg. Hand. Your eye. Oh, that's why that side of the screen is dark? Yeah, Metal Gear Solid. 3, to be specific. It's fine, really. It's just an eye. Just a hand. I'm immortal, remember? It doesn't matter what happens to me, to this body. I can lose an eye, a limb, any and all of them. It can literally be torn to shreds, and that's not really a big deal after all. I'll just come back anew, stronger than ever. I will... He slaps my left cheek. It doesn't hurt at all, but he evidently put all his strength into it, and he winces from the self-inflicted injury. I start laughing. I laugh so hard, I can feel all of my wounds opening, bleeding harder from all the pressure. He slaps me again, this time at the freshly blinded eye of my face. Okay, now this finally hurts. He holds onto my face carefully and stares at me. There's gentleness in his touch, but firmness in his voice. Stop acting like a fucking lunatic and listen to yourself. How can you say you don't care about what happens to you? What good is a hero who can't save anyone? Then don't be a hero. When you were younger, have you really ever thought about being anything different? Once I did. Maybe, but there's no way I could. There's no shame in living your life, Rune. But I don't have my own life. This life belongs to my country, to our men, whom I allowed to die. They all need my power, and I failed them. This life belongs to the moon. And he's already here to claim it back. And that won't change, no matter how much you or I deny it. I'm not smiling, it's just face rig. But still. Not unless you can break logic, or turn back time, or grasp and tear apart the very concepts of the world. Are we gonna Deus Ex Machina? I think we might. Unless you can do the impossible, you can't help me. The monsters are running close towards us. You can see the blur of white eyes all around. Even the scarlet plume is already back on its feet. I feel the floodgates of dormant power inside me completely break, as the memories of my previous lives start flooding in, finally putting an end to my individuality as Rune the Husky. Ooh. Tiny red crystals, like the winter frost, start crawling across my legs, and the ground around me. I feel myself reclaiming all of my might, and, with it, the fear of death. I remember the day when it drove me to voice out my wish, all those centuries ago. To voice out my wish. I wish the wish born of selfishness, cowardice, and thoughtlessness that stripped the countless me's of their rightful lives. In the end, it was just like I was warned. Even with the noblest conviction, tragedy always follows those brazen enough to seek immortality. And yet, Rune. You helped so many people in your life and never asked for anything in return. Don't you think you already earned your impossible? Monsters already leaping at us. With my true power available to me once again, it can skewer all of them with spectral blades without even as much as standing up. And yet, his eyes, his voice, they're meant for me, the moon. They aren't meant for me, the moon. They're meant for him. Come on, tell me. What do you want? His face burns. Tears trickle down my face, even from the fleshly ruined eye. Suddenly, the red frost around us erupts into the field of crimson crystals, set ablaze by all the grief, hopelessness, frustration, and self-hatred he had to endure through his whole life because of me. He wants his life back. I reach out from the vastness of lifetimes inside me, and I cry out with my tone, my one true voice. Save me, hero. Shouted Ruin the Husky, as a stone crackling howl reverberated throughout the battlefield, and a flash of bright light blinded even the luminous monster's eyes. A barrage of quick sword slashes felled those unfortunate creatures who were in no position to retreat in time. The rest growled at the new threat of bloodlust and fury. In front of Rune stood Luke, wielding a brilliant shield and sword. But it was neither his shield nor his sword. They both belonged to the armor-clad spirit possessing him, though. Pack mentality? They're through. Moon, the spirit that, by all logic, was Rune, now stood in front of the Husky, leaving him with the full clarity of mind and individuality. Aloud wrote, and even more tears dribbled down his cheeks as he couldn't believe the logic-defying miracle unfolding before his very eyes. Even if it was a trick or an illusion, what a beautiful illusion it was. Sorry, buddy, said Moon. This is as his sword and shield broke into pieces and turned in a mist of luminous dust. I can't give you all your years back. Searching for an opportunity to attack, four of the smaller monsters jumped at him, in unison, desperate to put an end to Rune and the vessel of new magic. However, with a quick turn of his heel, the spirit possessing Luke shimmered in light once again, and mended into a form of a different figure. A German shepherd, wearing a vibrant ornamental tunic and holding a lute in his hands. With a strike of but a single chord, he made the dust around him shoot right through the monsters, in a form of 4 orbs of light. But I hope you'll make the best of what you have left, friend, said Noon, and his lute and bright spheres solved into pure energy in their final dance of joy. You can finally sing your own song. A heavy gallop of a massive horned beast shook the ground. It rushed them with unstoppable might, crushing rocks to dust under its ebony hooves. Even then, the spirit possessing Luke didn't retreat. With a hard stomp on the ground, the aura flashed once again, manifesting a vision of a long-snouted collie dog, wearing shiny scale mail, and holding a heavy spear in its hands. Spraying a cloud of mana crystals, dust from under his feet, he lunged at the monster with the speed and force of a shooting star, It drove the whole length of the blade right through its eyes, and an explosion of sharp rays of light ruined the creature's body from the inside. Whether you pick up the sword again or not is entirely up to you, pal, said Dune, as his own gear fell apart as well. You have to truly live in this world first, before deciding for yourself if it's worth fighting for. Another ghost emerged. A barrage of arrows flew at the horrors in the sky, and lingering over the evening sky like red stars. Another moon rose. A heavy swing of massive battle axe sent heads flying, and a sudden burst of heat thawed all of the surrounding snow and ice. With each magic flash, Ruin followed the journey of his predecessors, this time from the outside observer's perspective. His heart swelled, witnessing what absurd wish actually unfolding in front of his eyes. A separation of the moons, even if temporary, and even with the power of an ember, shouldn't be possible. After all, how can you split a person? In it, there was undeniable truth in that nonsense. Rune was Rune, and Moon, a beacon of hope, bacon of hope. That legend always belonged to the people. The further the battle went, the greater the toll was on Lake's body. Blood dribbled from his nose, ears, and from the corners of his reddened eyes. His skin strained and split in random places, and his hair singed from the intense flow of mana across his body. Yet he wouldn't stop. As long as there were enemies to face, he stood tall and fought them with the power of Rune's ember. One after another, moon after moon manifested in his body, in all the way to the last one. A form of the final moon, the Rhodesian Ridgeback, wore no armor, no clothes. He wielded no weapon. Yet he stood with confidence nonetheless. And even then, it is not in Canaan's spirit to burden only one dog with the weight of the world kit, said Soon, turning his head towards the final monster left on the battlefield. Sometimes, even a hero needs saving. The scene unfolding before the scarlet plume awakened something in the creature. Its feathers started to glow with a brilliant crimson from all the canine mana absorbed from the air. It roared, and spontaneous lightnings started striking across the whole battlefield. They rushed at each other, and the heavy battlefield around them crackled with overflowing power in that all-out battle of two opposing fates. Out of the blue, a bursting thunder discharged hit Luke right in the back, singeing his coat and making him stumble. But the spirit inside his body pushed him forward and dodged and rolled away, avoiding the monster's deadly claws and snapping jaws. Would it be lightning or no. Fear and doubt crippled into Rune's heart. While he watched that struggle, and he feared for Luke's safety. The Scarlet Plume was suddenly fighting with so much more might, speed, and potency than Rune had ever seen it before, as if the creature itself had suddenly possessed by some sort of higher force. Even one little slip-up would see the end of that battle by the monster's claws or fangs. Unlike Luke, the creature didn't show any signs of tiredness. But then, Rune's heart skipped a beat, watching Lake's sudden acrobatics in between the endless barrage of thunder strikes and furious assaults of the beast. The hero performed a risky backflip over the plume's head and placed its hand over the beast's forehead. Suddenly, as if the time around them had slowed down, Rune watched Luke whispering something to the Scarlet Plume. With each word, the eyes of the monster trembled, and to his surprise, Even started to feel some kind of particular effect in his mind. He found his thoughts wandering towards the muddled memory of the forest night from the childhood one more time, his childhood. The moments of greatest tragedy became clear to him once again. The struggle, the importance. He remembered that in the midst of all that, he experienced a blaze. The crystal sprouted over his body the moment he witnessed his demise. None of this would have happened if it wasn't for you, you dead moons. The little rune thought at the time in defiance and self-hatred. Please, you have to save him now. But the moons didn't. That ember shouldn't be possible, after all. But it indeed wasn't at the time. But it remains the fact that the crystals indeed sprouted, even though he couldn't use it that night. The life-changing moment crystallized into a catalyst of power that even the world itself could never take away from Rune. And the love for him was carved into his very core. By the time Luke landed back on the ground, the battlefield started to calm down. The light gathered at the bottom of Scarlet Plume's eyes and ran down the gruesome face like tears. The vision of the ghosts around Luke started to flicker and lose radiance as well. Suddenly, all strength left his body. He stumbled on his feet and, at last, fell as he stood. Yet, before he could hit the ground, the cannon aura came back into focus for one final time and caught the human in the ethereal arms. As the Scarlet Plume turned around and walked away, never to be seen again. The Crimson Ghost turned its head towards Rune and gave him the familiar, comforting smile the Husky hadn't seen for over 2 decades. Told you, didn't I? You're finally safe. I think with the end of that memory there, and us pretty much being at the exact same moment where it's like 25 minutes, 27 minutes, that's a good time to call it. Woo. Man, reading's hard. I'm enjoying it, you know? So anyways, that's going to be the end of this Let's Play. So comment, as I like comments, tell me what you like, dislike. If you like my YouTube and would like to see it grow, then please like, subscribe, and sorry hiccups, and check out the videos to help it grow. Please remember to spend your ammo to help control the pit population. And if you want to play this game, it's free on itch.io. And if you want the most up-to-date version and or support them, you can go to their Patreon. And until next time, let's play me, GamerWolfSix of Shelter. So thanks and see ya.